This summer, I had the opportunity to participate in the Migrant Education Program, and it is basically a program that is federally funded for students whose education is interrupted throughout the school years, from outside factors, whether their families are moving for work, things like that. They get to different schools, they don't have enough time to adjust. So these students kind of fall through the cracks, and they're getting different levels of education with each school that they go to. We see their anxieties, we see all of those things that they're going through, and as a teacher, it definitely opened my eyes because I was just like, wow, they really don't learn a lot throughout the school year, and the teachers kind of don't take the time to, implement a appropriate education for them, so they're not learning the most out of their education. It just really put it into perspective for me, like, this is what I want to do. I am really a big proponent of student education, and I just think that just seeing them, how happy they are and how willing they are to learn if you take the time out to do it. That's why I think this really brought it home for me. I learned to teach from multiple perspectives. I think it's really important. I did focus on math, but I was able to teach a few other lessons as well, like history, things like that. And just being able to teach, letting those other cultures be heard, incorporating that in the classroom, I think that was like my #1 thing. I also learned, being here as a college student, they always tell you to know your students, get to know them beforehand. And so the first week I basically focused on learning what their interests are, learning what they like, what they don't like, what they struggle with, what they're strong at. So for me, I just think that playing to their strengths and letting them know that even though they might struggle in a certain area, it's just a weak spot. You're just not as good as it yet, but you can get there. And so just kind of relating things to their interests, I think, is definitely something that really worked in my favor. Also, I felt like I would gain the most out of this practicum. Something kind of spoke to me when I was, meeting with the director of it and just listening to her explain, who I will be working with. I never really got to work with students whose first language wasn't English. So it was really nice to put myself in their perspective, because then I was almost having to learn to their needs. I think the highlights for me was just to see the excitement on their faces when they were getting those problems. You can really tell when a student understands, because it's like that light bulb just clicks for them. And so sometimes, you're looking at a bunch of faces and they're like, I understand, Ms. D, but they really don't understand. But to hear them, they would get so excited, they were jumping out of their seat, or they would want you to call on them, so they would raise their hand, and if you didn't get to them, they were upset. But just to see their growth from the pre-assessment that I gave them in the very beginning to their final assessment and in the end of the program, it was just amazing to see. This practicum was life-changing for me. I always thought that I wanted to be a high school math teacher, and so when I switched to mid-level, I was, kind of shaky. I'm like, I don't know if this is for me, but then I went and I taught these 5th and 6th graders, and I was so content. I looked forward to going and seeing their faces Monday through Thursday. They just teach you so much, and so just as you're teaching them, they also teach you as well. If you're looking for that opportunity to bond with students, especially students who maybe have a different culture than you, it kind of lets you see from all perspectives what they're learning. This university offers great practicums. There's many of them, but this one was specifically suited for me because it gave me a little bit of different insight. I wanted to go for, something that wasn't going to be the ideal situation. I wanted to go for something that was going to challenge me. That's something that the education department here is not afraid to do. They're willing to push you to your limits because they want you to be a great teacher. They want you to be able to teach their children and their grandchildren and so on. So they're really equipping you with all of the materials that you need to become an effective teacher.